finding the right insurance for your specific needs, including auto owner's insurance. Mark is a big supporter of local youth sports, both as a sponsor of teams and as a coach and as an insurance coach. He'll provide you with guidance and lay out a game plan to provide the best coverage for your needs at the best possible rates. For auto, home, business, and life insurance, trust the insurance coach, Mark Odin.
That's Edding.
Edding Insurance Agency in New Haven, an agency trusted by our community since 1964. That's Edding, your independent auto owner's insurance agency. Online at oettingins.com.
1380 The Fan is looking for our next all-star advertising account executive. Do you have what it takes to join the Fan? Text radio to 46862 right now. Text radio to 46862. Are you passionate about doing your best, working harder than everyone else, and you want the rewards that come with a sales career with the Fan? I'm talking real money, including a $5,000 sign-on bonus if you're good enough to sell advertising on Sports Talk 1380 The Fan. Do you have the sales experience in retail, customer service, or business sales? You could be the one advertising sales all-star we hire. Text radio to 46862. We invest in you before you start on the job when you take our free sales talent assessment. Text radio to 46862. Our advertising sales reps enjoy flexible paid time off, a work-life balance that your friends will envy, and all the usual benefits. Someone's going to get a $5,000 sign-on bonus and an all-star career on the Fans advertising sales team. Will it be you? Federated Media, an equal opportunity employer.
Come back to the ultimate rock Christmas tradition. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, live in concert. This Friday night, Memorial Coliseum in Fort Wayne. Millions have made this their must-see holiday event of the season. Reserve seats on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Trans-Siberian Orchestras, the Ghosts of Christmas Eve, the best of TSO, and more.
Right now, the forgotten poor are waiting for healing and care, for life-saving medical care, for a chance to live with dignity and hope. They are waiting for Mercy Ships and you. Mercy Ships is the largest floating civilian hospital in the world, with volunteer medical staff and crew who donate their time to save lives. And now, as our newest state-of-the-art hospital ship sets sail, Mercy Ships will double our ability to reach children and adults who need us now.
Without the work of Mercy Ships, these patients don't have another option.
Mercy Ships is answering the call to serve suffering people who have nowhere else to turn. Together, we are going to some of the world's most desperate places and bringing a wave of hope and healing to those who need it most. To learn more about this wave of hope, go to mercyships.org today.
Keep your building cool in the summer, warm in the winter, and safe from whatever Mother Nature throws its way with Duralast, the world's best roof. Custom fabricated to fit your roof precisely, the world's best roof is backed by the industry's best warranties. When quality and performance matter most, Duralast, the world's best roof.
Contact Landmark Roofing today for your free estimate. Go online to landmarkroofingin.com or call 260-710-7006.
This is a presentation of Fort Wayne High School Sports on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. The Hoopie Insurance Services High School Coaches Show. Hoopie Insurance, our family serving your family for over 40 years. Here's your host, Justin Kenny.
Welcome in, everyone, to the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopie Insurance Services. I'm Justin Kenny here on a Thursday evening, the night before semi-state football, and a cold night expected tomorrow. If you're heading out to a game, make sure to layer up because it will be quite frigid out. We have 4 area teams in action tomorrow, Class 1A, Class 2A, Class 5A, Class 6A, and we're going to talk about each one of them over the next hour or so. Brice Vance will join us here in just a second from OutsideTheHuddle.net. We'll break down each of these matchups coming up tomorrow. Around 6:15, live from Monroe, we'll talk to Coach Michael Mosier of the Adams Central Flying Jets, his team preparing for a road matchup with North Judson tomorrow night, a team they played in the semi-state a year ago and beat 42-7. So we'll talk to Coach Mosier about that game, and I'm sure he will stress that last year's game means nothing heading into tomorrow night's matchup. We'll also talk to head coach Kurt Tippmann of the Snider Panthers at around 6:45. Panthers getting ready to host Valparaiso tomorrow night at Spolar Stadium on the campus of Northrop High School. We'll break down last week's win, come from behind win, and we'll get down to the answers of just what changed after Snider fell down 21-0 in that game against Mishawaka and then coming back to win 41-27. We'll also talk Carroll and Hamilton Southeastern as well as Bishop Luers and Andrean between now and the top of the hour. Let's get it started with our buddy Brice Vance outside thehuddle.net joins us right now. Brice, how are you?
You know, I'd be a little bit better if I was able to get my Taylor Swift tickets, but
it's been terrible.
That is not happening.
Well, I know you've been a fan since the beginning, and this is especially difficult for you considering all these Johnny-come-latelys.
I know. I mean, I've been a Swiftie since day one. For teardrops on what was it? Something on my teardrops on my guitar. Yeah.
You're asking the wrong guy. You would know, is all I said. Teardrops on my guitar, I think, was her first big single. Yes.
Since she was a country artist. I mean, all these people, when she turned over to pop, a lot of people came over. A lot of new people showed up. I've been here since day one.
You've been grinding since 2006.
Yeah.
When that initial album dropped.
Exactly.
So, well, despite, I'm sure, the tears and the emotions you're fighting with that situation, you can perk up because we do have 4 teams playing for semi-state championships tomorrow night and a berth in the state championship. When we look at this, 4 teams left. Any surprises with teams getting this far or any surprises on teams not getting this far with the foursome we have set to play tomorrow night?
I think the biggest surprise is probably Carroll, just because we haven't had a regional champion in 6A, and if we talk about how difficult it is in that class to get this far, and they're going to be taking on the number 1 team in the state next week or tomorrow night, and it just feels like the way that this team, how they had to battle back last week. And just what they've been able to. They had to get a defensive stand at the very end when it looked like they end up losing that game. But with George Valdez getting the interception at the very end was huge for them. And it's a little bit of a surprise. Probably next up would be Snider, just of how they've had to come from behind a couple of times. Against the North Side, and then how they came back against Mishawaka last week. That one maybe a little bit more surprising, that comeback, and how they, put their foot on the gas in the second half and really pulled away. That didn't even look, if you just look at the final score, it looks like Snider never even struggled. But they really did, only having 1 possession in the first half. So those are probably the 2 surprising. I expected Luers to get maybe this far when you look at, after how they beat Eastside, you knew that they were going to beat Bluffton, and then we talked about how Adams Central is kind of focused on getting to that state title game and trying not to, trying to stay mentally focused. And they played, most of their guys deep into that second half last week, and they probably will do it again this week in preparation for another potential matchup with Lutheran next week.
You mentioned Adams Central. They get North Judson. They dominated North Judson by 35 last season. North Judson, very run dominated. They're a very stingy defense that we've seen over the course of the season and the playoffs. But to me, the strengths of North Judson play into the hands of the strengths of Adams Central, and that's kind of been the story throughout the playoffs for the opponents for the Flying Jets.
Yeah, I mean, this Adams Central team is predicated on stopping the run and running the ball very well themselves. And if you look at, the one loss that North Judson does have was to a very good LaVille team just about over a month ago. And LaVille ran the ball for nearly 250 yards in an overtime win. And that just plays into the strength of this Adams Central team that has just a numerous amount of options. Keegan Bloom obviously takes a lot of the credit being the fullback and getting the ball quite a bit and breaking off, chunks of yardage at a time. But just the other guys, the Hamiltons, the Ryan Tester, Ryan Black, when he decides to keep it and run, and just so many guys that can take the ball and score on any given play. And it just feels like that North Judson hasn't seen a rushing attack like Adams Central since, they faced the team last year, and they saw what they could do. And it's just going to be difficult for them, I think, to slow this rushing attack down that, hasn't had to play, a full 4 quarters, so they might not be as worn down as maybe a LaVille that's, had to play maybe a little bit deeper into games. So I just feel like the Adams Central is probably going to dominate. Maybe North Judson has improved after last year, but I would still, Adams Central probably should still win this game by a couple of scores.
Brice, looking at Class 2A, it is Bishop Luers having to go to Andrean to take on the Fighting 59ers, and it's very much mirror images of each other. Private institutions that play in major metropolitan areas that play up throughout the season and have a lot of success over the years in the playoffs. Bishop Luers and Andrean. Everybody wants to talk about Drake Bowen for good reason for Andrean. He leads the team in rushing, tackles for loss, and sacks. But Billy Henry is pretty solid, the quarterback. They can run for a lot of yards, of course, with Drake Bowen. And the challenges for Bishop Luers seem to be considerable in this matchup tomorrow night.
Yeah, I would say when you have a team like Andrean that's balanced on offense where they can run the ball with Bowen and throw it in the air with Billy Henry, who has about 1,700 yards through the air and over 20 touchdowns as well, it's trying to pick what you can stop, because we've seen Luers give up some yards on the ground to teams, even with an inferior, talent than what Andrean's going to present tomorrow. We saw Eastside move the ball even after Carson Jacobs went down. Eastside was still able to move the ball down the field. They weren't able to punch it into the end zone maybe as many times as they wanted to in the second half without Jacobs. But still, Eastside was moving the ball a lot on them. And that would be a concern if I'm Luers, even though, they have a quarterback that, is able to throw. You gotta stop Bowen. You gotta stop that running game, and keep this, a game that you have the ability to use with your quick strike offense, to answer any scores that they have, because we know the type of talent, Luers has. They weren't really tested in that second half against Bluffton last week as they pulled away early. But we know what you have to do for Luers to stop Andrean. It's stopping that running game, and making sure that Billy Henry doesn't beat you deep as well.
Brice Vance of OutsideHuddle.net joining us here on the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopie Insurance Services. And Brice, Valparaiso and Snider coming up tomorrow, and it felt like a collision course between the Panthers and Maryville, but the Panthers have to come back from double digits down last week to win, and Valpo squeaked by Maryville. So the Vikings now come to Spuller Stadium to take on Snider. When we look at Valpo and what they like to do, it's a very powerful rushing attack. Justin Clark leads that running offense, and also throwing through the air. Thomas Berta is very good as a running back as well. But I think when we look at this matchup, what Valpo likes to do is also similar to what Mishawaka likes to do, and Snider probably didn't have to change too much in terms of game plan this week. But what do we look like? What do we look here as important for Snider to get past Valpo and advance back to the state championship?
I think the most important thing is don't have a slow start. And it's, just come mentally focused into this game. They've been able these last couple of weeks to, come out on top, and really, change the course of their season, it was a late fourth quarter comeback and then a second half comeback last week. And it just feels like if Snider's able to get out in front early on and control this game, control the clock with Buchanan and Level, and make sure, that Hopper doesn't have to throw the ball a ton, and get the ball to Juarez as much as he has had to, these last couple of games to get them back in it, and then, to pull away against Mishawaka. It's trying to get your mindset and ready to go into this game and be ready, because if you go on, Valpo's a different team than what they're going to face in Mishawaka. I would say it's probably a step up, and then what they're going to face. Even though Mishawaka has been a very good program for a long time, Valpo has as well, and they've been on this stage quite a few times. That you can't get behind a team like Valparaiso. It's going to be much more difficult to come back and take the lead on this team, as you mentioned, the ball really well. and have multiple guys that can do it. So if you fall behind a couple of scores to a Valpo team, this week, I don't see a good chance at Snider coming back. So that's why they have to get out and get ahead early.
Brice, final one that we'll talk about is arguably the biggest one in the area this week. Hamilton Southeastern and Carroll, a semi-state in 6A in this area for the first time ever. HSE enters undefeated, ranked the number 1 team in the entire state when we entered the playoffs, and they have been as advertised. What challenges does Carroll present to the Royals tomorrow night?
I think it's just their offense with Jimmy Sullivan. Obviously, we've seen him perform very well these last couple of weeks, and just keeping him upright and making sure that he doesn't have to do everything. I think with Staley in trying to get him going on the ground and trying to keep this Carroll offense on the field, moving the chain so that you don't give the ball back to an HSC team that can put up points in a hurry, and it feels like that the Royals have a 1-2 punch that can move the ball very well down the field and methodically and put up some points. So it just feels like that Carroll needs to do pretty much what it's done all season long is have Jimmy Sullivan put this team on his shoulders, whether it's in the ground game or in the passing game. Getting the ball outside, to guys like Hirschberger as well, and then leaning on that defense that has been so stout all season long and has probably been, the number one thing that we've talked about with this team, and they've proven it, each and every week that they're a unit that isn't to be reckoned with, and they come up big when they need to, like I mentioned with the interception late last week. So it just feels like that Carroll has had a special season. It's going to take a special effort to take down the number 1 team in the state this coming week. But it wouldn't surprise me if Carroll's in this thing late.
Brice, it's been an absolute pleasure. We will catch up to you in a couple weeks. Hopefully by then you have your Taylor Swift tickets.
I hope so. I mean, I need to get on the phone with Ticketmaster or somebody. I mean,
you need to demand answers.
I do. I need answers. I mean, do I need to go all the way up to the Department of Justice? A lot of people are taking that course, and I might jump on that bandwagon.
All right, good luck. Keep us updated.
All right, will do.
All right, buddy. That was Brice Vance of OutsideTheHuddle.net joining us as he does here each and every week here on the High School Coaches Show to kick things off. We're going to take a break, come back. Michael Mosier, Adams Central Flying Jets head coach, will join us. We'll talk about last week's win and also the challenges that North Judson presents tomorrow night on the road. All that, plus Kurt Tippmann later on in the show between now and 7 o'clock. Plenty to get to here on the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopie Insurance Services on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Football fans can turn a loss into a win with the king of sportsbooks. Just place a single first touchdown scorer prop bet on any Monday or Thursday pro football game. If your bet loses, you'll receive up to $25 back in free bets. This offer is available all season long. Wager confidently and take your game to the next level with BetMGM. Just log into your account or download the BetMGM app and sign up today. Turn game time into showtime with the king of sportsbooks. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Indiana only. New and existing customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Life insurance, while a sensitive topic, is a vital part of smart financial planning, particularly for parents. For a minimal cost, a life insurance policy can provide a means to guarantee that the people who depend on you will be taken care of in the future. Talk to Matt and the team at Hoopie Insurance Services about obtaining coverage to ease your worries and secure financial stability for those closest to you. For over 3 decades, Hoopie Insurance Services has been helping people just like you get the right life insurance insurance coverage for a cost that fits their budget. Remember, a difficult conversation today could mean peace of mind tomorrow. Find comfort in the experienced and knowledgeable staff of local agents at Hoopy Insurance Services. Call 486-7488. That's 486-7488. Or visit them on the web at hupe-insurance.com. Hoopy Insurance, their family serving your family for over 40 years.
This is the Hoopy Insurance Services High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Justin Kenny here, semi-state football edition of the High School Coaches Show. We'll talk to Kurt Tippmann, head coach of the Snider Panthers, a little later before we make way at the top of the hour for the Marcus Freeman Show as the Notre Dame head coach talks about surviving the trip to Baltimore last week against Navy after looking sensational in the first half. Was a difficult slog through the final two quarters for the Irish. Coach Freeman will talk about that. And also Senior Day coming up here on Saturday in South Bend against Boston College, a team that is accustomed to fast starts is the Adams Central Flying Jets. Head coach of the Jets is Coach Michael Mosier. Joins us right now. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great, thanks.
And, Coach, it was another fast start for your guys. It seems like it's been the MO all season long, got ahead early. And I don't know if I've ever seen a team force 5 turnovers and a block punt on a team's first 6 possessions, but you guys were able to do that against Carroll last week in a 35-0 victory.
Well, yeah, we were able to, and I really attribute that to the preparation of our defensive coaches and getting these guys ready to play. I mean, I thought we had a formidable foe in Carroll, and they've had a really great season, and they did things well, and our guys came ready to play, and we're going to need to do exactly the same thing this week against an even better team. So I don't know if that's going to be the same outcome. I would absolutely love it if it was, but I'm not planning on that. It's just one of those things that happen, and we'll see what happens tomorrow night. But we've had a good week of practice and preparation, and I think that Carroll team helped us prepare a little bit.
And Keegan Bloom, another big game for you last week, 128 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. Ryan Black, your senior quarterback, also good as well.
Yep.
Man, it just seems like this offense is humming along as it has all season long.
Well, they have been, and you know what? It's been a work in progress. I joke with these kids that I wasn't very happy with them at the start of the season, and they've really made me believe in what they're able to do. They've come along. They fixed a lot of the mistakes. Even though we had 2 fumbles last week, they were able to bounce back from that and not allow that to deter what we want to do. But they've really improved throughout the season. Our offensive line is a big part of that, and our backs are able to find some holes. And Ryan Black has just been a great leader for us from the get-go. And he's just been so much improved even from last year. And his poise and his confidence has been a really, really big part of how our offense goes.
And, Coach, Blake Betzner had some interesting comments after the game to the Pharaohs Tribune talking about your squad and said, man, you watch them on film and you see maybe some things we can take advantage of, but you get Adams Central on the field and they're so fast and physical. And it's a testament to you guys and the process. But, you know, just being able to beat these teams the way you've been able to beat them, very good teams, too. Yeah. Has it even kind of caught you off guard, maybe, the dominance you guys have shown?
Yeah, it has, and I think it's really our kids believing in our system, believing in what we're trying to do. They play so well together as a team, and that's really a big part of it. They love playing fast, they love playing physical. You are right there, and I think that's been something that's impressed me an awful lot about this bunch is they just get after it, and I can't say one thing that has made them that way. It's just kind of been a staple of what we've been able to do the last several years.
Coach Michael Mosier, Adams Central Flying Jets, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopy Insurance Services. And, Coach, you mentioned North Judson, and it's a team you guys saw last year, but it'd be easy for people to say, okay, they handled them one year, they'll be able to handle them again. So what can you take out of last year's game, but also what is going to be different about tomorrow?
Well, the similarities is that we've played each other. You know, we know what offense they're going to run. We know the defensive scheme they most likely will run, and they will know that about us. You know, I think the easy and the hard things is, you know, looking at that and then making adjustments. So what adjustments are they going to make on us from last year? I think that's the problem that we have. We just don't know what that's going to look like. We handled them pretty easily last year. I don't think that's going to be the case this year. I think there's some revenge factor there for their part. Plus, those kids that played last year are a year older. They have more experience, and it's just going to be a different ball game. I would love to say that we're going to go up there and have the same outcome, but we know better than that, and it's going to be a physical ball game on both parts. I'm really impressed with how much they've improved even from last year. I think they're a better team overall. So they just got some additions from last year. I think that they got a fullback that's really good. That they didn't have him last year. I think they also have some other key elements offensively and defensively. So we have our hands full, and we got to be ready to play. And let's not forget about the factor of the cold. It's going to be freezing. We've been out in it all week. We practiced tonight under the lights, so we're trying to get as acclimated as we can to it. But it's going to be a big factor. What team is going to not let the cold bother them? That's going to be a factor, and hopefully our kids are tough enough to be able to handle it.
And, Coach, is it an advantage with the fact that you played North Judson at North Judson last year? You kind of know what to expect in that regard?
I think it is. Our kids know what to expect. They've been there. They know the bus ride and how awful that is. They've done it. They're familiar with it. I think that definitely helps. And I think it helps that we did play them. I think we're familiar with them, and I think they could say the same thing about us. So it's going to be interesting for sure.
When you dominate the way you guys have, and people will say, well, they haven't really been tested for 4 quarters since week 2. Has it been difficult to keep this team grounded, or is it a group that's been experienced enough, mature enough to be able to continue to work hard despite the dominance you guys have displayed?
Well, that is something we will work very hard on, and I think that is something I expect out of these kids. And no matter who we're playing, we're going to prepare for them. No matter who we're playing, we work hard at playing every single play, and I think they've really been able to believe in that and do that. We played that way all year, and that's how we prepare, and that's how we prepared this week. We really, really respect our opponents. We never overlook anybody, even though we may, on paper, be better. We're going to respect them, and we're going to work hard in practice, and I think that's been a big part of how we've been successful.
And, Coach, this is something that has kind of come up to me in recent weeks, and you tell me if it's a concern or not, but so many people, outsiders, have looked toward AC and Lutheran, the rematch, and I know you're not worried about that right now, but do you have a worry at some point when you guys are going to have to play complete 4 quarters of football? It may come tomorrow, it may come next week.
Yeah, I really don't worry about that. I don't. Our kids will handle that. We condition well. I feel like our kids are ready for that. If we have to contend, I'm not too concerned. I mean, I may be wrong in that assessment, but I really am not concerned that we can do it. I know that if it happens, our kids will rise to that occasion and do well. At least that's what I feel.
And I guess at least you've had some close games this year, the East Side, to kind of see how you guys have handled adversity.
Yeah, exactly. And, I know that we've won big, but we've also faced some really good teams. We were just able to get out early and beat them with our physicality and speed. But overall, we've had some good teams, and we've had some teams that have given us fit defensively, for example, and we've had to work offensively. And I think these kids have been able to handle the adjustments that we make against teams that know us well and try to stop us in various forms. And I think these kids have played at least 3 quarters for the most part, and I feel good about if they had to play 4, they'll be okay.
All right, Coach. Good luck tomorrow night. It'll be cold tomorrow night, but hey, if you get a dub, you don't have to worry about that next week, right?
Exactly. We're gonna do our best for sure.
All right, buddy. Appreciate the time. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you.
That was Coach Michael Mosier, Adams Central Flying Jets, and man, you can hear the wind behind him. And he said we've put in the work in terms of practicing under the lights, practicing in the cold. We've been pretty lucky this season in terms of weather on Friday night. It's been reasonably dry for most of the year, been reasonably warm for most of the year, outside of the last couple weeks. So, hey, mid-November, you're going to get these games, and who handles the cold better? And not just tomorrow night with Adams Central and North Judson, but all 4 of the area games that we have. Which team handles the weather uncertainty better? We'll talk about that and more when we come back. Kurt Tippmann a little bit later in the show, but when we come back, we'll break down a little bit more these matchups coming up tomorrow night. We'll look at Hamilton Southeastern Care a bit more. When we come back, you're listening to the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopie Insurance Services, 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Life is just less enjoyable when you've got constant pain in your knees and back. Are you tired of living that way? You know what? Your joint pain doesn't just keep you from doing what you love. It affects everything. Hey, it's Mike Rags. It's time to call QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics uses advanced regenerative medicine to restore and repair damaged joint tissue, giving you your life back. Hips, shoulders, elbows, they can all be treated with natural biologics from your own body. Powerful healing agents, highly concentrated. If you're tired of steroid shots that don't work, or if you're trying to avoid surgery, call QC Kinetics now to schedule your free consultation. Learn about these exciting new cutting-edge treatments for pain caused by arthritis or injury. No drugs, no pain meds, no downtime. This is an all-natural treatment that can get you lasting relief. People here are raving about the results. Call now. Appointments are available for this coming week. QC Kinetics. Call 260-333-9383. That's 260-333-9383. 260-333-9383.
Stop renting. Trying to get into a home right now is very difficult, but Granite Ridge Builders is bringing back its popular lease-to-purchase program to help. For a limited time, Granite Ridge Builders has the opportunity to lease to purchase a brand new home. For as little as $2,000 down and a credit score around $600, you could be living in your new custom home by Christmas. If you are paying more than $1,000 a month in rent, you could potentially be leasing to purchase with payments similar or maybe even less. 3 or 4 bedroom homes with 2 or 3 car garages, and it's all yours by Christmas. Don't let the opportunity slip away. Again, $2,000 down, around a $600 credit score, and you can lease to purchase your custom home. Think of it. No more ice on the windshields in the winter. No more kids having to walk through the parking lot to get home. No more walking on the ice to bring in your groceries. For your chance of these homes, go to GraniteRidgeBuilders.com. Backed by popular demand, it's the Lease to Purchase program by GraniteRidgeBuilders.com.
Life insurance, while a sensitive topic, is a vital part of smart financial planning, particularly for parents. For a minimal cost, a life insurance policy can provide a means to guarantee that the people who depend on you will be taken care of in the future. Talk to Matt and the team at Hoopie Insurance Services about obtaining coverage to ease your worries and secure financial stability for those closest to you. For over 3 decades, Hoopie Insurance Services has been helping people just like you get the right life insurance coverage for a cost that fits their budget. Remember, a difficult conversation today could mean peace of mind tomorrow. Find comfort in the experienced and knowledgeable staff of local agents at Hoopie Insurance Services. Call 486-7488. That's 486-7488. Or visit them on the web at hupe-insurance.com. Hoopie Insurance, their family serving your family for over 40 years.
Get the latest knife info from one of the country's premium knife shops, Blademan's Knife Shop at the Shops of Scott Road. There's a reason customers drive hours just to shop at Blademan's in Fort Wayne.
Hi, this is Mark, the owner of Blademan's Knife Shop, and I'd like to personally invite you out to the store to see the area's best selection of quality knives. We have Benchmade, Spyderco, Microtech, ProTech, Hogue, Zero Tolerance, Medford Knife and Tool, ADV Tactical, Tour Knives, and many more. We also have a great selection of custom knives. Can't get out to the store or prefer to shop online? Check out our great selection on BlademansKnifeShop.com. We pride ourselves on fast shipping because no one wants to wait weeks for their new knife. We update our online inventory daily so you know you're ordering in-stock product that will be shipped within 1 business day, and shipping is always free for orders over $100. So check us out on BlademansKnifeShop.com or stop by the store in the Shops Scout Road and have a cup of coffee on me.
Be in the know and follow Blademan's on Facebook and Instagram today. 10% discount to police and military, and now you can see the collection of Shun knives, the finest in kitchen cutlery, available at Blademan's Knife Shop in the Shops of Scott Road.
Now back to the Hoopie Insurance Services High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back, everybody, to the High School Coaches Show, Semi-State Football Edition. 4 teams remain in Northeast Indiana looking for one more victory and a berth in the state championship game next weekend. The IHSAA did come out with the days in which each game will be played. It usually goes odds and evens, either Friday or Saturday. Just Blake comes out and says that Friday will be the the even games. I don't know my odds and evens. Even games, 2, 4, and 6 will take place on Friday. 11 a.m. kickoff for the Class 2A state championship game on Friday. 3 o'clock for the 4A. 7 o'clock for the 6A game. So if you are a Bishop Luers or a Snider fan, if the Knights and or the Panthers win tomorrow night, they will be playing on Friday, which is always brutal. That 11 a.m. game after Thanksgiving is just terrible. It's just absolutely brutal. It could be Bishop Luers if they're able to beat Andrean tomorrow night. Of course, Saturday, the odds will play. 1A at 11 a.m. Could be Adams Central. 3A at 3 o'clock. 5A at 7 o'clock. Could be Snider if the Panthers can knock off Valpo tomorrow night. Taking a closer look at these matchups tomorrow night, we talked to Coach Michael Mosier of Adams Central before the break, and the advantage that Adams Central has had through this run outside of South Adams is that Adams Central has played teams that their strength is running the football and stopping the run. And that also happens to be Adams Central's strengths, is being able to run the football and stop the run. When you look at the matchup tomorrow night, North Judson, what do? They run the football. A lot. To the tune of over 314 yards per game is what they average. They've attempted 74 passes all season long. Now, their quarterback, Aldrich Harper, has completed a lot of passes for touchdowns, 17. But that is very much in the lulling you to sleep with the run game and then hitting you over the top for touchdown type stuff. So Adams Central, when they play North Judson tomorrow night, it's similar to what we saw in North Judson last year. It's run dominated. They want to stop the run. They weren't able to do either against Adams Central last year. It's a better North Judson team this year, but AC is very good as well. And it's very much strength on strength tomorrow night. And it's tough not to buy into AC getting another win because the challenges are the same. The challenges are the same as when they played Carroll last week and Northfield the week before and Southwood to open the playoffs. It's teams that like to run the ball and dictate the pace of the game. And Adams Central is very good at preventing that. So look for Adams Central to be the favorite at North Judson tomorrow night. Looking at 2A, it's amazing how similar these two teams are. They're both private school powers and lower classes that eat in the playoffs after playing up in the regular season. Bishop Luers, of course, does it in the SAC. Andrean does it in the Northwest Crossroads. They play teams like Highland and Hobart and Kankakee Valley and Lowell. And out of conference, they played Maryville and Crown Point. And so very much mirror images of each other in the sense of the powers that be with these two private schools and how they operate and how they roll and have a lot of success in the postseason. Of course, Andrean with 3 state championship wins, including last year winning the 2A state championship. Last year, they played Evansville Mater Dei and won the state championship, of course, beating Eastside in the semi-state in what was a close game. Looking at this one, so many people are going to say Drake Bowen, for a good reason. The Notre Dame commit leads Andrean in rushing, in tackles for loss, and sacks. But it's not just Drake Bowen for Andrean. Billy Henry, 1,700 yards passing, 22 touchdowns. Drake Bowen has rushed for 1,300 yards. This is an Andrean team who has 3 losses, but they came to Maryville, Crown Point, and Lowell in Week 9. Since then, they've beaten LaVille, who's very good, to start the playoffs. They were undefeated before Andrean beat them. Beat Bremen and then beat LCC handily last week in an 18-point victory. This is a difficult challenge for Bishop Luers to hit the road in this one. Andrean is as advertised. Bishop Luers is a dynamic football team, but are they dynamic enough to get this win? I think that's the big question for Bishop Luers going on the road. They need to run the football, attack when need be downfield with Charlie Stansky and the receivers. But I think the onus is on Bishop Luers' defense. Can they get enough stops tomorrow night to have a shot to win this game? I think it's going to be up to Bishop Luers' defense to set the tone. Valparaiso at Snider. We're going to talk to Snider coach Kurt Tippmann here in a few minutes about this matchup. But Valpo pulling off the somewhat surprising win over Maryville last week, 15-14. And Bill Marshall's Vikings playing tremendous football. Their losses have come to Penn, Crown Point, and Maryville. But since that loss to Maryville in late September, this has been a team on a mission. Defensively have looked very good. Valpo 5 straight wins, including the very impressive game to knock off Maryville last week. What does Valpo like to do? They like to run the football. Justin Clark, the quarterback, running back Thomas Berta, 2 very good ball carriers. Valpo's not going to pass it very much, but they're just dangerous enough to lure you into false sense of security and then strike downfield. And Justin Clark perfectly capable of doing that. Defense is very good for Valpo, allowing just 24 points total through the playoffs and limiting Maryville to 14 points last week after Maryville dropped 37 on them in the regular season. So what does Snider need to do? Control the line of scrimmage. Valpo is big up front. Very big. But big doesn't mean dominant necessarily. And Snider, not a hulking offensive and defensive front, but they're quick, very quick. And so Snider could be able to take advantage of some opportunities there. Of course, in Class 6A, Hamilton Southeastern and Carroll, the first semi-state game in 6A ever in Northeast Indiana. Of course, Carroll winning their first ever regional championship last week, the first ever 6A sectional championship in this area won by a team since the inception of Class 6A. This is a considerable step up. We talked about Carroll having to play Penn, how big a step that was. Hamilton Southeastern on another level. They're the number 1 team in the entire state of Indiana. They're nationally ranked in the top 25 when you look at Max Preps and other entities that rank those things. Nationally, they're a big deal. Undefeated as well. They've beaten teams like Westfield twice, Fishers twice, shut out Homestead to open the sectional. There is a lot to like about this Hamilton Southeastern team. They're dominated. They don't have very many stars offensively. They're just very, very efficient offensively. Defense is where they're very dangerous. Evan Sherrill, Dominic Burgett, 2 very good players defensively. They've combined for this unit has 70 tackles for loss, 27 sacks over the course of the season, and that's going to be the challenge. We talked about Bishop Luers and Andrean and that Bishop Luers defense. I'm looking at this Carroll offense, and can they move the ball? Can they score enough to beat Hamilton Southeastern? I think that's the big question. There are questions, of course, with that Carroll defense, HSE offense, but I think that Carroll defense can hold its own. It's got enough players. Hamilton Southeastern isn't huge, isn't hulking, doesn't have star players all over the place. It's just very, very efficient. It's very, very good. But I think that Carroll defense could get some stops, cause some problems for HSE. But it's that Carroll offense against that really, really dominant HSE defense that's going to have to find a way to make plays. Ty Brattle for HSE, thrown for 16 touchdowns. Jalen Alexander, running back, has rushed for 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns. And HSE has played an all 6A schedule. Remember that. All 6A teams. 12 wins over 6A opponents. And they'll come to Carroll tomorrow night. The winner, of course, advancing to the state championship game in Class 6A will be either Center Grove or Cathedral against the winner of Hamilton Southeastern and Carroll. So that's a look at the matchups coming up tomorrow night. We're going to take a break, come back. Coach Kurt Tippmann, Snider Panthers, will join us. We'll figure out how Snider flipped that switch last week. Down 21-0, finding a way to climb back and win. Was it that Kamari Juarez kickoff return for a touchdown late in the first half that really was the catalyst of that? Or is it something deeper? We'll talk to Coach Kurt Tippmann about that, and also the match coming up against Valpo tomorrow night. All that and more when we come back. You're listening to the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopie Insurance Services here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
This is Matt Hoopie, your personal shopper for all of your insurance needs. As an independent agent, I can do the research and comparisons to find the right company and coverage that fits your needs, not just sell you a cookie-cutter, one-size-fits-all policy from some of the national companies. Besides shopping price, I look for companies that put you first when it comes to filing a claim. With an independent agency like Hoopie Insurance Services, not only do we have dozens of options to find the right policy that meets your needs, we work with companies that deliver service when you need them most. And you always have an advocate that isn't an employee of the company, but has leverage with the company to help you have a stress-free experience. Before you renew or if you have new insurance needs, let's talk about the differences. Contact me, Matt Hoopie at Hoopie Insurance. We represent you. That's why we say our family serving your family since 1981.
1380 The Fan is looking for our next all-star advertising account executive. Do you have what it takes to join the Fan? Text radio to 46862 right now. Text radio to 46862. Are you passionate about doing your best, working harder than everyone else, and you want the rewards that come with a sales career with the Fan? I'm talking real money, including a $5,000 sign-on bonus if you are good enough to sell advertising on Sports Talk 1380 The Fan. Do you have the sales experience in retail, customer service, or business sales? You could be the one advertising sales all-star we hire. Text radio to 46862. We invest in you before you start on the job when you take our free sales talent assessment. Text radio to 46862. Our advertising sales reps enjoy flexible paid time off, a work-life balance that your friends will envy, and all the usual benefits. Someone's going to get a $5,000 sign-on bonus and an all-star career on the Fans advertising sales team. Will it be you? Federated Media, an equal opportunity employer.
Hurry into Menards and save big money during the last 11% off in 2022. Add style and security with Schlag lock sets. Coordinate the look of your home's decor with complementing finishes and styles. There's no more hiding keys under the doormat or losing track of copies with Schlag electronic locks. Menards carries over 50 styles of Schlag lock sets. All Schlag lock sets are 11% off. Good through November 23rd savings or mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards. Shield Exteriors, home of the True Lifetime Warranty, wants to give you a Christmas of a lifetime. Text the word SHIELD to 46862 and register to win a grand prize of $15,000 in holiday cash.
Shield Exteriors Roofing, protecting what matters most.
Join the Fort Wayne Mad Ants for the 260 night on Friday, November 25th. It's a Pizza Hut family night and a gold out with rally towels on every seat. Get your tickets online today.
This is the Hoopie Insurance Services High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back, everybody. Semi-state football edition of the High School Coaches Show here for a little bit longer. We'll make way for the Marcus Freeman Show at the top of the hour. Head coach of the Fighting Irish, talk about the win over Navy last week and Senior Day coming up on Saturday in South Bend against Boston College. But before we talk college football, we're talking more high school football here. Head coach of the Snider Panthers joining us right now, Coach Tippmann. How are you, Coach?
Great, Justin. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't have boots on the ground last week on Friday, but watching the score early on, I'm going, what is happening? And then it turned almost as quickly as that. So I guess take us through 21-0 and how it became 41-27.
Well, they scored on their first drive of the game, kind of drove the length of the field, and it was not a big plays. It was just kind of 3 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards, and marched it down the field, and then onside kicked, and had guys right there. The ball takes funny bounces, and they got it, and drove down the field, scored again. We get on offense for the first time, and we're already down 14. We got a couple first downs, but then had to punt on about midfield, and then they drove down and scored. And so it's 21-0, and things are looking bleak. I mean, they're kicking our tails. honestly. Very physical. And we're there. We're kind of soft on some tackles and just kind of unsure about things. But they kick off up 21, and then Kamari runs kickoff back for a touchdown, which, momentum-wise was absolutely huge to regain something. And then we fight and claw our way to a 21-7 halftime score, knowing we're getting the ball at the beginning of the second half. And our kids, when we came in the locker room at halftime, they were confident. They were not panicking. The conversation was good. It wasn't all rah-rah. It was just matter of fact. And we got the ball at the beginning of the second half, drove down and scored. And then, really the tide turns when we get on defense. And for the first time, we stop them. They go 3 and out and get the ball back on offense. And then it was a barrage. Kamari and Langston and Hop did a great job leading scoring drives. And each time we got on defense, we were getting 3 and outs. So I think we scored 28 in the third quarter and completely changed the complexion of the game.
In terms, Coach, of being able to get those stops after the quick start for Mishawaka, was it just the kids starting to feel more comfortable in what they had to do, or did you make any changes?
A little of both. I mean, we didn't make any major changes, but here's the deal with that offense. You see it all week in practice. It's not the same as what you're going to see on Friday night.
Sure.
So we were in the right positions. We were a little uncertain about, how aggressive to be. When you're just seeing the speed of it for the first time, it took us a while to adjust. So part of that was confidence, and all the things we worked on all week are coming true. The people are where they're supposed to be. Now I can attack it. We made some slight adjustments, which, helped free some guys up. But it really was the kids, determination to not end the season and continue to want to play together was really the difference in the second half.
And you mentioned it, that Kamari's return there late in the first half. How big was that for momentum and confidence?
Oh, huge. Huge. He's done that all year. I mean, he's our best player. And when he has the ball in his hand, he's dangerous. But he has the ability to change a game. And he does it at receiver. He does it in the return game. He's been a leader. And he was one of the guys that was talking at halftime and very composed. And when your seniors, when your best players have that kind of attitude with their teammates, it pervades the locker room and gives those guys confidence. And I think, Kamari, along with our other senior leaders, kind of instilled that in our group at halftime, and that was a big reason for our improved play.
And I found this astounding, Coach, and I should have assumed this with the All-SAC schedule, but it had been 4 years since you guys left Allen County for a football game, and having to get on a bus and then go to Mishawaka, that's a big adjustment. And did that have any kind of impact on the early game struggles?
It's hard to tell. We know, we're very conscious of the fact that we never travel. It's just the way the conference works. Our kids seemed comfortable and relaxed, and but it's a 2-hour drive. 2-hour drive is a 2-hour drive. But I think we weren't blowing assignments like mental issues. It was just getting the feel for the game and just not as confident because everything about that offense is so different. It really is. It's very intricate. It is very precise, and the details that you need to have to defend it to be in place, it's very, very precise. And so just having the confidence that if I go here, it's going to be the right place, I think just took us a while to get that feel.
Coach Kurt Tippmann, Snider Panthers, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. And, Coach, you get a home game, don't have to get on a bus for 2 hours tomorrow, and you got Valpo coming to town. What has impressed you about the Vikings?
Very well coached. Very good program. That program has won 50 games in the last 5 years. They played in the semi-state game 3 or 4 times. They played in the state championship game in those 5 years. So it's one of the premier programs in 5A football in the North. Perennially very good since Coach Marshall has taken over 5 years ago. They're very well coached, like I said. Offensive line is big, physical, strong. They have a big physical running back. They really have 3 guys that share the load running the ball. The quarterback is a leading rusher. He's a very good athlete running the ball. And then 2 guys in the backfield that they rotate
in their spread package that are both very, very good. One is a bigger guy, kind of a thunder guy, 220 pounds, and then the other guy's more of an elusive, quicker guy. But they do a good job mixing it up. Quarterback is very capable of throwing it as well. They're just very sound. On defense, they just don't get themselves out of position. They're aggressive. They're physical. They tackle well. And they do all the things that you need to do to play good defense and sound in the special teams. So just an all-around well-coached team. They're not flashy. They don't have players that are, leading the state in receiving or rushing or anything like that. But they're just good, sound, fundamental team.
I have to imagine, too, trying to game plan for a team that's so well-rounded that, okay, I can't key just on one guy or two guys. That can probably be the most frustrating game plans to build because they're doing what they're doing based on a team in all three facets of the game. You can't really just focus on one or two guys.
True. And, it seems like every week, and this is the way it should be. In the playoffs, you just get different kinds of those challenges. In week one, it was Bishop Dwenger, who's always good, and a very, quarterback that we didn't play before that came back and played, didn't know what to expect there. Then game two, they got players all over the place that can score anytime they touch it. Very aggressive defense. Then game three, an offense that you never see. And then game four is kind of the exact opposite. So, yeah, it's unique challenges, and it does make it hard to game plan.
Speaking of hard to game plan, when do you start thinking about changing the Thanksgiving plans? Is it bad luck to even think about it till you get a semi-state championship?
Yeah, our mind and our energy is all focused on Friday night. The people behind the scenes, athletic department, they look into that kind of stuff so that we can just focus on preparing and playing our best on Friday night. So we haven't even considered that stuff yet.
All right, Coach. Hey, I appreciate it. I know you're short on time trying to prep these guys, so thanks for the time.
All right, Justin, thanks. Good luck
buddy.
To all the other teams, SAC teams and Adams Central.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach. That was Coach Kurt Tippmann of the Snider Panthers joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. And, yeah, last week I'm at Bishop Luers, and every time I'm updating my phone, it's 7-0, it's 14-0, it's 21-0 Mishawaka. What is going on? And Mishawaka made the biggest mistake of the game by kicking to Kamari Juarez at the end of the first leg. What are you doing? You kick him out of bounds. You do anything you possibly can to not put the ball in Kamari's hands, especially in a return. And that play in so many ways, confidence-wise, momentum-wise, changed the game. Snider had one offensive possession in the first half. One. And we're able to come back and win that game. And a lot of it had to do with going into the halftime break with some momentum, with some positivity. Not looking at 21-0, what are we going to do? Instead, it was 21-7. Okay, we just need to tighten up some things defensively. We got a late score. We're on the board. Let's build from that, get some stops, and score some points. And that's what Snider was able to do. And not panicking. 21-0, not panicking. That's the huge thing. That's good coaching. These are kids in the end. And you get down 21-0, and it can be very difficult to keep teenagers from checking out or starting to play out of control or immature. And credit to that Snider coaching staff for keeping those guys grounded, keeping them focused, and not checking out from that game mentally. And it turned into a win, and now Snider one victory away now as they host Valparaiso tomorrow from getting back to the state championship game. So we'll see what happens with the Snider Panthers. And, of course, that will be a 7:30 kickoff from Spuller Stadium tomorrow evening. And, of course, the game of the week tomorrow here on 1380 The Fan 100.9 FM will be Carroll and Hamilton Southeastern. You can listen to that one here, 1380 The Fan 100.9 FM. That'll do it for us here. Thanks a lot for joining us here on the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopie Insurance Services. Thanks to Coach Tippmann. Thanks to Coach Michael Mosher, Adams Central. and Brice Vance outside the huddle.net. After this, Marcus Freeman Show. Here in just a few minutes. That'll do it for us. Everybody have a great weekend. Have a great holiday next week. We'll catch up to you in 2 weeks' time here on the High School Coaches Show.
We got a spot a couple miles out of town. When that moon comes up.
Thanks for listening to the
Podcasts by Federated Media.